Welcome back, everybody.
We're back.
We're back. We're back with the Drunken News. So, Gary, Maestro.
I'm the maestro.
Today, I guess. Actually, Steve is going to be the maestro.
I'm the maestro.
We're doing this new thing where we play a little game within a game here.
Oh, it's no game.
Yeah. Do you want to play?
It's
I'm
serious
already
business.
the champion right now.
You lost last week.
I'm the champion tonight.
I also didn't get my 30 seconds of
rant.
Oh,
rant.
yeah, we should do it at the beginning of the following episode.
Negative. Negative.
It's too late.
Gary's
too late. I'm the champion right now.
So moving forward, you get it at the end.
You want it at the end?
Sure.
You can rant about anything you want.
No way. I feel like
you
should be able to make
related to gaming though.
Yeah,
No.
of course.
Okay.
Keep it gaming related. Let's
Right.
not go off on a
But I feel like you
political
should be able to
rant.
think about it for the next episode. I think it'd be good to rant while everybody's drinking.
Okay.
You
well,
rant for 30 seconds while everybody takes their shot of
all right,
Doctor.
let's do that. Let's do that right now.
All right.
All right,
I don't have a
Hold on,
stopwatch.
I got it.
Well,
I got a fancy
you
watch.
can't trust the guy who's
Okay.
ranting.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
No, I don't want any doctor.
All right.
So
Go ahead, Brian. You
All
got
right.
30 seconds.
Yep.
You ready?
Yep.
1, 2, 3, go.
All right, so Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild is a fantastic game, but I don't think it's going to be my game of the year as of right now. I think that Horizon Zero Dawn is criminally overlooked at this point because of the release window that it has. I think that Horizon Zero Dawn is a third-person Far Cry, but much better in every sense of the word. From the gameplay to the exploration to the character building and the story development, or the character development in the story in the game, I think that you should really look
Time.
at Horizon.
All right.
I like that. Throwing shade everywhere right there.
That's what you can do. You can do whatever you want.
You get the floor.
Yep.
But
Get the floor. I really hope I win.
Gary, I'm excited for your first rant. Hit us,
All
Steve.
right. So the first news we have this week is YouTube's restriction rules are impacting gaming channels.
How?
Well, I'm glad you asked.
Wow.
A number of YouTube creators who belong to sites. Okay, well,
Sources.
belong to the site's gaming communities have noticed that many of their videos are being hidden in restricted mode, despite not violating any of the rules that would lead to videos being undiscoverable. So YouTube came under fire after the weekend for restricted mode, a 7-year-old content filtering system. Restricted mode was introduced in 2015. Well, that contradicts itself. By YouTube, it is essentially targeted towards children. It hides objectionable content like violence, nudity, or vulgar language, although it doesn't remove any of the videos from the site. If people are using restricted mode, which they can activate by scrolling to the bottom of the page and toggling it on, these videos will not appear. Many content creators in the community have begun to notice some of their videos or entire channels in some cases are hidden in restricted mode. While some of the videos make sense, including games showcasing violence footage, others don't.
Yeah, fair enough.
So we're impacted by this.
Very much so. We
Losing
drop F-bombs
subscribers.
all the time.
Yeah. I mean, language out the window.
Mm-hmm.
And then some of the games we play, there's violence.
Out the window, Buzz, you're a genius.
You're a genius. So yeah, no, I thought it was very interesting. I actually turned on restricted mode and checked our channel and to see what would still be there, and I would say at least half of our videos are gone.
I'm assuming
At least.
I
Virginia.
can imagine they all aren't.
Did they
Which
get
you
rid of
can check
Virginia
out.
for being a piece of shit?
YouTube.com/pixelated points.
That's a point for Brian.
Yep.
Plugging the old channel.
Yeah, wonderful.
Wow.
Wonderful. Gary,
Okay.
so
I didn't bring up our channel at all. So,
He gave the URL up.
I mean, that's fine. That's fine. I'm not going to sass the guy that's giving out the points right now. Just wanna
I
do that
forgot I
because
even
he's
had to
not
give
being
out
fair.
points. So
Yeah. But yeah, no, it's very interesting how they're doing this. I'm woke right now, as the kids would say.
point for you.
Woke to this point for me. That I think that there's something going on in the backlines of YouTube where things are being blocked out from certain people without them putting any sort of restrictions on. That I think it is happening, but obviously if you scroll down to the bottom of your YouTube and you turn on restriction, yeah, there's things that are definitely restricted, but it's very interesting where they have the cutoff line, because there's not like a fine line. Like there's no like line that if you cross this line, your video is now going to be blocked out to this amount of viewers, right? And it's creating people have no idea why. Like, there's a lot of channels out there right now that are just being like, why is my entire channel blocked right now? Like, I'm not doing anything wrong, but it's everything is restricted. And it's very interesting how they're doing this.
I thought it was very you just said interesting, but I think it's very interesting that Steve just read that it's a 7-year-old thing that was introduced in 2015. So if you think about that, if it's 7 years old, it was built in 2010, meaning that it's fucking outdated.
Yep.
So this outdated system was rolled out in 2015, and it sounds like it's a pretty shady rollout where it's not necessarily, like you said, it's not on the forefront of people's brains, and they're not saying like, this is what makes you restricted, this isn't, you know what I mean? You can turn it on if you want, but they're still doing it to videos that are still technically unrestricted, and they're not letting people know that it's restricted. So,
and then there's some videos that definitely should have a restriction on them that don't hit that.
It's a lot like their, in regards to how old it is, it's a lot like the DMCA policy. It's like archaic, just the way it's done.
I mean,
when you have
that's
to go
exactly
through to
what
deal
I was
with it.
driving home is that like it is an old. It sounds like it's an old algorithm that they're using to try and filter out these things. So.
Yeah, it's very shady just because they're not telling. Here's the line. Yeah. Like that's the biggest thing. Is like if people knew what you can and literally cannot do to not be restricted, then people would probably walk that line and create videos.
They'd straddle it and just kind of make sure that they're not following on either side.
Because people have no idea, they're just like, well, I hope my video doesn't hit this restricted list. Because that impacts people searching, right? So if people are searching things like, I don't know, it could go even deeper. Like you might not even have restricted mode on, but if you search a certain thing, it might not even come out because it's in a search engine. Yeah. So like I think there's a lot of stuff. I'm very woke to this, Steven.
Point for Brian before. 2 points for Gary for getting into conspiracy Alex Jones mode. I like that. I'm glad you mentioned how they're doing it because in this article it says the question is how YouTube's algorithm works. So there was a person's Breath of the Wild video is considered questionable. And according to Brian, it is questionable because it's not as good as Horizon. But I don't know. There are a number of Call of Duty, Halo, and Battlefield gameplay videos that can be watched while in restricted mode. Each of these videos contain violence and some contain vulgar language. So we have Breath of the Wild videos being deemed,
too violent,
or whatever, questionable.
Yep.
And then the other, you got Call of Duty and Halo.
Well, that's the thing. Like, what is
right? Exactly. Like what no one knows. That's the problem.
And no one knows like how this restriction is impacting them. And then also, like I said, I mean, they're doing it without our knowledge.
And then you have to think too, like, okay, if you're gonna then screen for violence, then it shouldn't just be like an algorithm. Like you should just earmark, well, Call of Duty's violent, so all Call of Duty videos should be in restricted or whatever,
Be in woke mode.
Yeah, be in
woke
point. Like that. Woke mode.
Woke mode. I like that too. Give him another point for me.
From one of your points?
Give him one of my points for that.
Oh wow.
I like wolf mode.
You like that?
I'm a team player over here.
Okay.
Yeah,
crushing it.
I like what I see. I like what I see. I like what I hear. Next topic, Steve.
All right. Well, there's too many points I gotta write down. I mean, let's go.
You gotta take this point away. You gotta carry it over. Pass.
There's lots of math that I wasn't expecting to have to do.
We're making things up as we go.
Yeah. The points don't matter. Yeah. Rules are made up and the points don't matter.
So the next story is Overwatch director says map editor could come in distant future. So on the heels of today's Overwatch title update, director Jeff Kaplan popped into a forum thread to talk about one of Blizzard's long-term plans with Overwatch. The thread's topic was if a map editor would ever come to the game, and Kaplan provided some clarity on the topic, which he says, "We are extremely open-minded about releasing a map editor for Overwatch someday. But because Overwatch was made with a brand new engine, this is not a small task or one that can happen anytime soon. We have this on our long-term roadmap and believe heavily in user-made content, but there are many challenges ahead of us, and it will be a very long road before our editor can be made available to the public." There you go.
So what I like to hear from that story is he says that he's open-minded to this in the long run, but he's also a big fan of user-made content. Which I think that is a very smart way to put it. I think that Blizzard has always kind of done those type of things, but I feel with Overwatch, especially, I mean, Gary, you could probably speak to this a little bit more, but just the meta of the game is so diverse that it's going to be difficult to take a user-generated map and actually be a good map to play the game with all of the different abilities and characters.
Wouldn't be able to. No one's going to be able to. I won't say no one, but it'd be very hard for user-created maps to be viable in a competitive setting, be viable in just a normal quick play setting. What I envision this would be something like what Halo used to do with the Forge mode, where they would put out, they'd have a weekly playlist in Halo where they'd only have user-created community maps, is what they would call it, and everyone would be able to play it. It's kind of custom games, and it's
like the paintball, right?
Yeah, it'd be paintball, it'd be action sack, like whatever. And I envision this, but they also already have this kind of with the server browser now. For me, I think I'm on Brian's side that I think a game like Overwatch needs to be in the hands of the creators, because they've done such a good job to this point with making things balanced. And even just as recently, they released Orisa, the new character, this week, to consoles and PC into the game. And, they didn't release her to competitive. So you can't play Orisa in competitive mode, even though she's released to quick play, because Blizzard is saying people don't know how to play Orisa. We're not putting her into competitive because we don't want her to impact people's ranks. And people spend the time in quick play playing her to learn how to play her. And then once we give it a couple weeks, then we'll release her to competitive. So, I think Blizzard, I don't really see this happening for a very long time, if not until the next Overwatch game, if there is a next Overwatch game. So I think it's cool and all, but I think the server browser does most of the purpose, where they have all these unlimited abilities and all these different custom games and user created game modes where the maps are fucking super solid. So we don't really, it would be cool. Yes, it would be cool, but I think it would create a divide in the community such where they like to keep the community on the same path.
Yeah.
Competitive versus vanilla Overwatch is very similar. And that's the best way you gain viewership when you're talking about Twitch and you're talking about competitions and you're talking about people playing games competitively, is trying to keep the competitive level at a vanilla settings, right? Because if somebody that doesn't play too much Overwatch, I'm just going to go to someone like Cox, right? We all know who Cox is for the most part. You viewer.
Fleshlight.
Yeah. Fleshlight. That's all I'll say. But
he told me he had to go buy batteries today. I don't know. I asked him AA or Ds, what do you need? So he didn't tell me. So
the double Ds. So basically what I'm trying to say is that if someone like Cox was trying to watch a competitive Overwatch game, would he understand how that game is being played? Would he understand, and would he want to watch and be like, oh yeah, I could do that with whatever character? And it seems similar to what I play at a very low tier level, because that's the issue that something like Halo had, where Halo competitive was a completely different game than Halo vanilla. So people that try to watch Halo competitive were like, what the fuck is this? There's no sprint in this. There's no radar. Whereas in vanilla, there's radar, there's sprint, there's all these abilities, but then they switch it up so much, it's a completely different game. And then your viewer base, and then you split the community in half, saying, I like these settings, I like these settings. Whereas Blizzard does such a good job at creating just a straight and narrow path for everyone to play quick play or competitive. It's the same game. It's just at different higher levels. And I think this would kind of create a split in it.
Yeah, you're looking at me, and I 100% agree with him. I think that user-generated content is always a nice option, but what is it called? The open browser right now? What is it called?
Server browser?
Server browser, sure. I haven't touched Overwatch in a couple months, but I think that, for what the game is and balancing everything, there's no real way to kind of monitor that. Because you could have, a map that kind of serves Farah the best, or you can have a map that serves a certain character the best, and then you're just going to have all of these different crazy type of game types. But then again, look at Halo Paintball, where something like that is created, where people are receptive to it.
Yeah.
So I could see that being hey, this could be a fun experiment. But at the end of the day, like you said, it is going to split the community, and it's going to split the focus of what Overwatch is.
Well, because what it does is it gives the tools of creation to the users, and they think, oh, I can make a better Overwatch. I know these settings are the right way to play.
Mm-hmm.
And once you start having different people start messing around with settings and saying, this is how we should tweak Torborn, or this is how we should tweak Diva,
Mm-hmm.
and this is how we should tweak, Sombra, and then because that's what you can do in the server browser, you can tweak all their abilities, their movement speeds, how much damage they do. Like, you can tweak all this stuff, and then when you start creating the maps for these certain characters, then you start creating a divide because people think this is the best viable option for this person, whereas Blizzard has their own direction and how they want the game to go. And who's to say they're wrong? Because they're fucking crushing it. The game is amazing. It still is. Just because I haven't played it this week, really, by saying really, I played matches of Overwatch this week. But it's just to say, like, they know what they're doing. Leave it in their hands. Let Blizzard do their thing. If it comes, it comes.
Yeah, like, not to mention, think about that, though. Like you said, like, you can change the abilities and the cooldown and the movement speeds and the damage of all these different characters, and then you get used to this one character, and then you're like, oh, I'm good with Diva. But then you get into competitive, and she doesn't play the way that you think that she should play, and then that just kind of confuses the player base. I feel like that's a very bad
Road
thing to do.
down.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
But
All right. A point for you and Gary. And Anthony gets 5 for remaining calm and quiet during the Overwatch segment.
That's how you do it.
Next article, next news story.
how
Alleged
Anthony
BioWare.
this is how
how you do
Anthony
it.
wins.
Doesn't say anything.
Alleged BioWare employee details harsh working conditions. So, in a scathing Glassdoor review dating back to July 27th of 2016, an alleged former employee from the BioWare Montreal studio revealed that the working conditions were harsh and uncompromising before deeming the company as a place to avoid for employment. The former employee states that conflicts were common between the Montreal and Edmonton studios, and this leadership class has resulted the alleged departure of over 16 lead developers of various disciplines across both studios. The former employee proceeds to elaborate on how the studio handles managerial conflicts, claiming that BioWare Montreal would place people on a performance improvement program, which ultimately amounted to nothing more than a tactic to lay off employees who didn't adhere to the preferred BioWare leadership style. He also talked about the last-minute deadline crunch time was renamed to filing mode, which was described as a catastrophe. Although lunch was paid for by the companies, employees were only given 30 minutes to eat before heading back to work. That ultimately has a negative effect on employees.
So they got free lunch, but they only had 30 minutes to eat the free lunch.
I guess.
And that's not.
And finally, the former employee claims that harassment and retaliation were part of the norm at BioWare Montreal in regards to resolving conflicts, before stating that HR isn't a viable option as all harassment claims were either dropped or not documented. Okay, the former employee ultimately gives their former studio a 1-star rating and a doesn't recommend tag, before stating that they are not going to waste their breath in giving advice to BioWare's management, as they won't listen anyway.
So coming from a company that I don't agree with upper management, I can see a lot of his complaints, but it sounds like a lot. And again, I don't know
Sounds
the
like a lot of
conditions.
salt.
Well, they say it
sounds
should
like
be
a-
taken with a grain of salt.
Yep.
My
It sounds
facial
like a lot of
expressions need to be
millennial
fixed.
bitching. It sounds like they have managerial, they have the way of which the company runs. And if you don't agree with that, that's fine. You can have different opinions on how a company should be ran. But if the owners of the said company or the managers of said company is telling you this is how it's ran, and if you don't like it, you should probably find alternate places to work.
I don't get the lunch thing. I mean, I get a 30-minute lunch to eat. How long do they
Well,
expect to have a lunch for?
Most people's most
get
people
an hour.
I get an hour,
Yeah.
but a lot of people only get a half hour.
Yeah.
And it's like, again, like this is like
And they get free
entitlement bitching. It's like
Yeah.
you're getting free lunch. I'm sorry, do you have to wake up an additional 30 minutes earlier every morning to like wake up and make your lunch and pack it up and then bring it into work? No, you don't. You have this company that provides you lunch, so why are you fucking bitching about it? I'm sure like the harassment things though, again, we don't know the extent of that.
They don't even. There isn't even an example. Which
I think
obviously,
that
to me,
my point to that is that you're gonna give something a 1-star rating and then say, I'm not even giving the time of day to explain why. Is just telling me you don't have
you don't have a better
to give to the 1-star rating. Now, granted, there's probably things that obviously they had some issues with Mass Effect coming out,
right?
And this is just collateral to what is happening in the response that the community is giving, the response that people are taking it. But when you are bitching about certain things, I have nothing to say when somebody says I get a free lunch, but I only get a half hour to eat my free lunch. Fuck off. Like that's kind of how.
Not to mention you probably get paid during said free lunch, so
potentially there might be,
and especially if they're trying to meet a deadline and they're and that's why they're like, okay, we're trying to meet this deadline. You guys are gonna work more hours. Here's free lunch. I could see something happen like that. Now we don't know because guess what? They don't give us any fucking details on any of this onto what was going wrong. So, I mean, I just think there's a lot of stuff going wrong at BioWare as far as just how Mass Effect was handled and what came out of it.
like Steve said, there was 14
That's kind of how
people
16
people that left the company. So clearly there's something awry. It sounds like it once was this, and now the new managerial staff decided this is how it's going to be, and a lot of people didn't like that. A lot of higher ups, or they're not the managerial, but maybe supervisors or like leads on animations. They decided to leave, and so that's just kind of how
could it be
business politics work.
The way that I look at it from the outside looking in, obviously we have no idea what's going on, but do you look at it like some of these people might be just running because they know they fucking screwed up a game, or like is it something that like it's deeper than that? I don't know because we don't know details. That's the biggest thing. We don't know details, so we can talk in circles about something like this. But at the end of the day, you get free lunch. Suck it up. That's how I'm gonna fucking end it like that. Free lunch. I would love free lunch. If you want to BioWare,
free food is good.
If you want to pay me free lunch to come play Mass Effect all day, I will work 12-hour shifts.
G Hines.
G5 on Twitter, work some 12-hour shifts for free lunch.
QA
play some Mass
will be
Mass
quality
Effect.
assurance testers.
Yeah, I'll just test some shit out for you. Hit me up. Appreciate it.
Everybody gets a point. Dark Souls 3 Ringed City DLC patch notes revealed. There are a lot of notes for this. Don't even know where the fuck to start.
Yep.
But we're getting a patch for Dark Soul planned for.
Don't even try.
So
Anthony,
March 20th.
Explain it to me.
Wow, interrupting host minus 2 guys, 2 points.
It's gonna be impossible for me to win anything. Anthony, explain this to me.
I'm gonna announce it's gonna be released on March 24th. People would like to know that.
That's tomorrow. By the time that you're listening to this, it's probably it's last Friday.
Well, you're welcome.
Thank you.
Continue.
Get that tonight.
I won't be downloading it as I haven't played Dark Souls 3.
But you have it on your PlayStation.
I do actually. It's sitting on my shelf.
Yeah.
Anthony, explain this to me.
It's mostly a balance patch. So pretty much a lot of glitches the game apparently had, a lot of weapons that needed to be balanced out, and it's a lot of PvP, which is pretty much not the DLC you were looking for.
But this isn't
I like
the DLC.
the Star Wars pun.
This is DLC. It's with the DLC.
This is a patch
with the Ring City DLC.
It's not the DLC though. It's the patch notes. It's the patch
that's coming at the same time.
No, it's coming at a different time. The DLC doesn't come out till next week.
Before the patch. It's the
Come on
28th.
now. This
It's
guy
the
doesn't even
28th.
know the facts.
What?
I don't
Right,
even play
right.
the
Why
game.
did you cut off the host? He was
Yeah.
going to give you the facts.
Because I'm trying to get Anthony to
Right,
speak
20
because he hasn't said a word this entire news.
He has
Yet he
5
still has
points.
more points than you.
Yeah, that's true.
Exactly. That's why I wanted him to speak. So
Right,
he
right.
just fucked up. Guess what?
I
I
did.
know more about this. So
Oh, arrogance minus a point.
Wow.
just keep
Dude, you
taking him away.
digging
you
a
know
hole.
what, Steve?
You're
At
digging
this
a hole.
point, I don't give a fuck. I'm doing this for pride, motherfucker. I'm doing this for pride.
Couldn't get that
So-
fourth win, could you?
No. So
Hilarious.
basically,
Plus a point.
so this patch supposedly
It's for the DLC.
it's for the DLC, but this DLC is going to be more heavily focused on the PvE aspect of everything, which is contradictory to what you just said, Anthony. And then
Did you
the
read
fact of the patch notes is basically fixing pretty much all the issues a lot of the community has in Dark Souls, where it's kind of like the song hero of
before it ends?
before it ends, saying, "Hey, we heard all your complaints. We're gonna fix everything. Here it is." It's a lot of fucking notes. I was talking to my buddy today, who's a huge Dark Souls fan, saying he hasn't played Dark Souls in multiple weeks because he's been playing Horizon, and he's like,
Good choice.
Chris.
He's like, I gotta finish Horizon because these patches are coming out, and I need to play these patches. He's like, this patch is gonna save the game. So now he's going back to Dark Souls because they're fixing the PvP stuff before this new DLC comes out. So there you go, Steve. I just wrapped it up for you. Give me a point.
All right, I'll give you a point.
Wow.
Thanks.
1 point.
I like that point.
It doesn't. It's not gonna. Points don't matter. Here.
I understand the points.
All right. So next story. Oh well, if I was a good host, Mass Effect Andromeda develops absolutely listening to fans, investigating updates for complaints. So Brian's got a question.
I have a question.
Yep.
So they're listening to people's complaints, but they haven't fucking said what they're going to fix.
Well, they're still listening.
They're listening.
Oh, right.
They hear
The
it.
data gathering. and
I
stuff.
guess. It says the facial animation have been hit with so much criticism that it even led to an EA employee getting harassed for detailing that they were the lead facial animator for Andromeda. I guess.
If
Allegedly.
you're the
Why?
lead facial animator, I'm not saying you deserve to be harassed, but hey, maybe like a couple of you suck
Yeah.
come at your way.
I feel like that's being harassed,
Harass.
but it's
but
all
you
right.
know, if you
Depending
just
on
say you suck,
what
man,
standard.
like
Well, harassment, I
sprinkled
agree.
in
Just throwing a you suck out there isn't harassment. It's just criticism.
just some constructive
Hold on,
criticism.
that's-
like,
You gotta amend it. You suck at facial animation, not
Do this
harassment.
better.
That's criticism.
That's better.
Yeah.
I like that. You suck at doing these facial animations and then add a GIF of the facial animations
To prove it.
to prove it. You're good.
But so yesterday, which would have been March 22nd, we got a patch 1.04, but that did not fix
Anything.
anything
Nope.
really for the facial animation department.
Maybe it cut out that
the story.
weird
It's the
story.
story.
Yeah, maybe cut out some of the "I love you, Dad," "I love you, Mom."
So Ian Franziser
Nailed it.
states, we're looking at patching lots of issues and want to strongly support the game moving forward. He said on Twitter, and he also said, I can't say more just yet. Can't promise anything yet as far as the character creator goes, but said that BioWare is currently evaluating various options for making it better.
They're not fixing the animations.
That is fucking PR speak to a T.
No
Yeah.
time frame. We're investigating a large. He also says we're investigating a large number of things right now.
They're
Don't
not,
want to promise anything I can't deliver.
They're not
Hey,
fixing the deals.
At least they're not doing a Sean Murray, right? They're not fucking promising something
Yeah.
and giving you.
Well, I mean, I think if you think about it, how the fuck are they gonna fix the animations? They're all over this game. This game is 80%
Animation,
cutscene,
yeah.
animation,
Close-ups on faces.
close up on faces. You got to fix the entire game.
Put helmets on everybody.
I mean, maybe.
Pro tip.
Pro tip. There you go.
Pro tip.
Hey, I heard they're hiring. They just lost some people.
Yeah. Might want to apply.
You might need to
It
apply.
might
I
be.
heard they're giving out free lunch.
It's. I
selling
mean,
point.
it sounds like a win-win.
2 points for Gary on that one.
There we go. I'm climbing my way back. But I mean, I think it's definitely, Brian, to your point, it's PR, right? So they're not fixing the animations. It's way too much to do. Like it's just way too much. Like there's no way. Like fucking, how long did it take the Witcher people to make 7,000 animations?
Apparently 1 year, which is fucking impressive.
But it's still a year,
yeah,
and you most likely have to do more animations than 7,000 for an entire game.
Yeah,
like
not to
that.
mention with the reviews that you've gotten, there's no way people are going to stick around for a year.
Yeah,
Not a fucking
no.
chance.
I mean, like,
Well,
with
you
all
gonna
the
really
stuff with
sink
No
the
Man's
money into
Sky.
it?
no.
Like,
There's
is
no
it worth
way.
it to just do all
No.
that work and then
Also-
throw it a patch?
EA, no way.
Yeah.
Oh,
they're,
yeah.
They're
EA?
fine.
Yeah.
No
They're gonna
way.
be fine.
Yeah.
This game will make more than enough money. It's Mass Effect. They have the name on it. It looks great. Other than the animations, the gameplay is fine. The game will be fine. It just might not go where
Above
they
and
want
beyond.
it. Yeah, where they want it to go, but it's still gonna do well. It's still not gonna stop them from making another one. But there's no way. It's all PR. It's all PR.
Just trying to mitigate the bad press.
There you go.
Yeah, but
We killed it, guys. Nice job.
excellent. Fallout 4 VR confirmed for E3 2017 will blow our minds. So, Bethesda's Vice President PR and Marketing, Pete Hines, you related?
Dad?
Okay. Has confirmed that Fallout 4 VR will get a demo during the company's E3 press conference. This was speaking during an interview with Hip Hop Gamer at PAX East 2017. Hines said that he had recently spoken to lead developer
Sources.
Todd Howard about the game. According to Bethesda's executive, Howard said, "Fallout 4 VR is the most incredible thing you've ever seen in your life. You can't even imagine what it's like playing in VR and how realistic it looks with everywhere you turn your head." Howard also supposedly called the VR version of Fallout 4, which will include the whole game, the craziest thing you've ever seen. So yeah, it's basically
Justin's
all
getting
there is.
VR. It's going down.
You'll have to buy it for him first.
Right, someone will. So Brian, it's your turn. So
Yeah, Brian, you got to buy Justin something now.
I'm not
So-
buying one. I'm not buying him shit.
Oh, Jesus.
Not buying him shit. Also, this news story is like offensive to me.
Oh, wow. I like where this is going.
It's
I'm getting ready to rack up these points.
It's fucking offensive to me. Fallout 4 in VR is going to be the craziest thing you've ever experienced. I'm sorry. So
blow your
VR
fucking
is
mind.
dead.
It will blow your mind.
shit.
VR is
He's
dead
saying it.
at this point. Fallout 4, no one gives a shit about anymore. Fallout 4 was a great game. I can admit it. It was a great game. But no one cares. It wasn't the revelation that Fallout 3 was. Fallout 4 was underwhelming in comparison to Fallout 3. So Bethesda, move on. Don't do the same fucking thing. You're doing this whole, hey, it's going to be in VR. It's not gonna have the impact that you're looking for. Not to mention the install base is not there yet. So you have this new technology that no one really adapted, and you don't have these killer apps. So I mean, maybe if you brought it to Vive or Oculus, you might be able to get something.
Well, I forgot to read this, but Fallout 4 VR is set to release in 2017 for the HTC Vive.
All right. So maybe you might get a little bit there, but still, that's still a very expensive piece of equipment.
Well,
You're
I
not
will
going
say
to
this,
get.
Brian.
It's not going to be the revelation
So
that you
I'm,
want it to
I'm
be.
saying it's not gonna blow anyone's mind. It's gonna be Fallout in VR, and okay, cool. But at the end of the day, I don't think VR is dead. I personally don't think VR is dead. I think it's just in the beginning stages, and we haven't seen what it can actually become. And I think everyone that's buying it right now is a fucking idiot and needs to wait another year or two, or maybe even 3.
But counterpoint, if no one buys it now, are they going to continue to support it?
Well, that's where I think they need to. I think they definitely need to and continue on. I think like PlayStation, I don't think PlayStation will continue on with it. I hope that Xbox doesn't even
Bother with it.
I think that, or even Nintendo, like stay away from it. Like focus on what you need to focus on. I think that like something like the Oculus or the Vive, like that's where it needs to succeed, and then that's where it picks up traction, and that's where like you start developing real games for it. Now, Fallout 4 is a real game, but it's not the prettiest game.
Nope.
There's not much going on in it. You're kind of farming. You're kind of walking around. There's no one alive. Everyone's dead. You're just walking around a wasteland. That's the game. Cool. Blow my mind? I don't think so. So it's just one of those things that it's like a complete PR thing. Like you said, focus on other things. Bethesda has I mean, where's the next Skyrim? Like, give me some more Skyrim.
Give me a
another
new Elder Scrolls game.
Like, give me anything else. Like, stop giving me Fallout.
I'm
Like,
not going to
everybody.
lie to you. Bethesda's first-party developers aren't nearly as good as their second-party developers. Look at Tango making The Evil Within. Look at Machine Games making
Which the
Wolfenstein.
Evil Within
Arcane.
got confirmed.
yeah.
A sequel's coming out.
That's what I'm
which
saying,
We
like-
haven't announced yet, but we just announced it. I should probably get a point for that.
Breaking news.
Breaking news. Ba-ba-da-ba.
Sure, it's not fake news.
It's not
Ooh,
fake news.
It might be alternative facts.
All right.
Fake news.
+2 to Brian for that great rant. Actually, 3.
That was an early victory.
I like the
right
rant. +1 to Gary. And +1 to Ant. I don't know.
This is
He
Yeah,
threw some
this-
Fallout 4 stuff
this
in there.
is
there.
like-
I'm getting them.
you know what, the family thing, it's really coming into effect, Brian.
Are you accusing me of nepotism?
I think
Wow.
Because I
know,
might have to.
I don't know the definition of the word.
I don't know.
Point for you.
Oh wow, dude, you're getting fucking.
Let's
smoked.
continue on.
This is bullshit.
The hero Australia deserves. Don't you want to hear about a hero?
Can
Senator
you hear me yet, Hero?
What?
Can you hear me now?
Oh, there you go.
Hero.
Yeah, you don't deduct a point for him screwing up. You know what? This is messed up. This is collusion.
I don't
at
play
its
favorites
finest.
around here. You're
Oh,
trying
yeah,
to.
Sure. Anthony said 2 words today. He's got 20 points.
Sometimes less is more.
You said that last week. That doesn't fly with me.
It exists. It still
doesn't fly with me.
continues.
All right,
does.
I'm just gonna be quiet. Good luck. Rest of the news.
Turns his mic. I like that. You get a point.
Nice.
Anyway, Senator commands Canberra to leave gamers alone. So someone is finally speaking some sense. Be nice to have on this podcast.
Won't happen, kiddo.
Following the Australian Classification Board's banning of Outlast 2, Senator David, name I am not even going to fucking try, blasted the Australian Senate regarding video game censorship. So, the senator reveals politicians and public officials are blocked from sites like IGN and PC Gamer because we might stumble across an image of something somebody disapproves of from a medium we don't understand. Citing a survey that states that the average gamer is 33 and 60% of Australians play video games regularly. So they just banned it, and he's up against it. That's basically what they're saying.
Fair enough.
Because it's a bunch of
Malarkey.
in this. Just a lot of criticism about their banning of Outlast 2. I think Gary knows more about this, but he turned his mic around. So I guess we don't talk
So,
about this one.
Hold on.
Brian
I
says something to say.
before we go on, this always falls back to the argument that I always say is,
Gaming art.
game is art. Yeah, gaming is it's an art form. It's a media. So if you want it to be taken seriously, it needs to you need to see what it is. It needs to tackle serious topics, and you need to parent your children if they are not ready to see those sort of topics. They're M-rated games for a fucking reason. If they're not over 17, they shouldn't be playing this game because it tackles certain issues or it's violent. It's parent your fucking kids. I understand you want to protect everybody, but there are ratings for a reason.
Very well reasoned. 1 point. But yeah, they're banning shit. So next story. Fan project to get Zelda Breath of the Wild running on PC shows remarkable progress. So earlier this month, we reported a group of programmers trying to get The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild running on PC. Even using CEMU, the pre-existing fan-made Wii U to PC emulator, those involved estimated Zelda would take months of work, such as the size of the game and complexities of its systems. But fast forward 2 weeks later, and there's been remarkable progress. Frame rate still isn't up to scratch, but a number of things now working after a short time is generally stunning. Combat works fine. Exploration of the world's physics systems appear to function correctly. You can enter and solve shrine puzzle dungeons. You can use the game's rune powers correctly. I don't know what rune powers are. Thank you for the spoiler.
The bomb. You have the runes.
Yeah,
Oh.
the runes are like the bomb, the
stasis.
cryo.
See, I don't know what this shit's called. The list goes on. So this PC build is being worked on by the team behind CEMU, which is funded through Patreon. So CEMU is an emulator
Mhm.
for the Wii. Actually, I think might be game. Oh no, it's Dolphin. So I think it's just the Wii and Wii U. Take months to complete ahead of schedule. That's really all there is. So they got this game going, emulated on the PC.
I
Sorry.
think.
Picking it
Sorry,
up.
go ahead, Gary.
Yeah, if I can get it on my PC, I'd play the fucking shit out of it. I just
Gamepad.
Well, you have the correct way to do it. You got the Blu-ray. You got the disc, right?
for what?
Wii U.
Wii U, yeah.
So download this emulator.
I don't have a CD drive on my PC right now.
Well, if you waited a little bit longer on my list.
Well, you know what? You give me a list, I fucking buy everything, and create a PC masterpiece. So I just need a CD drive. I also probably need another storage SSD, but I mean, I need a couple more things to make it perfected. But yeah, I mean, this is something that I can dig.
The elite struggle.
So I'm of two minds on this one. So I think that getting this game into as many people's hands as soon as possible is a great thing, but I'm also not for getting this game out in the ether and taking away sales from the Nintendo Switch, because I do want to see that succeed, or even on the Wii U. I just want to see this game succeed and for Nintendo to make money on it in order to then continue to make games. So
Yeah, fair enough. I wouldn't worry about it. I mean, emulation in general is pretty small.
It's like a
And
niche.
specifically what you would need to run this, you would need a...
Ultra PC Bro Mahalo. What do you have? Yeah,
I've
you
never
might
heard
as well.
that model before.
Yeah,
What's
I
your
mean,
list
I have a
consist of?
PC, yeah.
Fucking pleb.
Yes.
I mean, that's all pleb talk.
That, I mean, it's certainly pleb talk.
That's fucking pleb talk.
Believe you me.
I don't know what that was. But yeah, no, I mean, it'd be fucking sweet. But yeah, I agree with Brian. I think, you don't want to take away. It's the only game you should be playing on Switch. The only game they really have. So if you take that away from them, what do they really have? It's one of those things that I would rather Nintendo doing well than Nintendo struggling, because that's only better for us because it pushes competition. It pushes competition with PlayStation, with Xbox. In Nintendo, you got your game right now, but we all know Nintendo's track record over the last couple systems has been a hot start, and then things slowly fall apart. So I would hope that this doesn't take away from it. Obviously, people buy the Switch, buy Zelda, push for it so we get better games for Nintendo, and then this is an actual Nintendo console. That would be sweet.
Excellent. Maybe points, I don't know yet. Leaked Destiny 2 posted puts release date in September. So we got two different images from the Destiny poster. Paired with Italian text, show 3 Guardians beside a Destiny 2 logo. One image appeared on Italian gaming website Laga, while the other appeared on Imager. So while we know Destiny sequel is coming this year, most recently confirmed by an Activision quarterly earnings call, this poster is the closest we know to a timeline beyond the initially stated fall 2017 release window. So, yeah.
I think that September 8th is probably a really great date. You're getting ahead of all of the major holiday rush. So anything in October, November, December, you're avoiding all of that. You're getting it early, same as like Metal Gear Solid 5 of last year. They kind of did the same exact, well, not last year,
the
but
year
2015. They kind of got ahead of everything. They released it. Everyone played it for, a month and a half, and moved on to the next thing. And I think that with Destiny, Destiny always tries to have that lasting impression. So you got to imagine Destiny 2 will be a little bit more fully fleshed out. Sorry.
Yeah.
But then they'll still have DLC in the future. So I think that it's smart.
I mean,
it's a smart release date. But again, I think Destiny is not so great.
No.
Just to interject real quick. Historically, Destiny has always been in September. So it's been September 9th for the first,
Yeah.
September 15th
Deals.
for the Taken King, and then September 20th each successive years, 14, 15, 16. And that was Rise of Iron.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
So,
Wow, 2014, the first one came out.
Yep, September 9th, 2014, September 15th, 2015, and then September 20th, 2016.
Well, this is the thing that Bungie does with all their games, right?
September, or like they keep it in the same.
They keep it in the same, right? So with Halo, it was 777 day. Like they would always do with their community. So Halo, Bungie, there was a community day. They would have their own playlist where Bungie employees would all play together on 7/7. Where if you played against them and you staked them, they literally would mail you a steak dinner. So it was something that Bungie has done in the past. So now, like, it looks like they're staying away from the 7/7 day because that was a Halo thing. Now they're doing a September thing. One thing is, first off, Destiny's a piece of shit. The game fucking sucks. It is the worst, and it's such a money grab that I'm hoping that Destiny 2, because I do like Bungie as developers, I think they make solid games. I think the design choices that they made in Destiny were laughable, and they were really just farmy, and just really they came in at the right time where there wasn't that much to play on these consoles.
There wasn't anything.
And they got people addicted, and you had these raids, but then they still are doing the paid DLC, and now they're even having a DLC that comes out that is paid DLC where you play the same raids that you've done before. So now they're just rehashing stuff from that you've already done to get you to pay again to
With
play again
loot.
for more loot, which is ridiculous. And then the last thing I'll say about this poster that they had was the logo is terrible. It's
not the
the
same- it's not the
laziest
same
thing.
logo?
It literally just has Destiny, and then it has the number 2 behind it. Like, I just think it's so, like, what do you mean it's just Destiny 2? Like, it should be, like, if it's
Like
this
it's
big
lazy,
game
like
that
it's
has lasted
Helvetica,
over
or like lazy.
two
like
and a
it's-
half 2.5 years, like, at least, like, have something other than Destiny 2, like, have some sort of name to it, like, something that draws me in. But if you just put, it looks like it's a DLC, is what the poster screams to me. Is it
leftover material from.
well, I just don't know. I mean, and then the biggest thing with Destiny as well, the fact that it didn't come out on PC, I think, is not a good thing. I think it needs to come out on PC.
It wasn't exclusive for PlayStation in the beginning, wasn't it?
No.
No, so
No,
was it?
it's on PlayStation and Xbox, but it's not on PC. Destiny's not on PC right now, and that's a huge, like. And you're talking about trying to sell the game. Like, if that game's on PC and they're doing all these raids and they're doing all these things, like, you're gonna get a lot more viewers on Twitch. You're gonna get a lot more people buying the game. I think what they need to do with this game is have it be more Mass Effect-ish. I mean, exploration. I just think the levels and everything. I mean, we can talk about Destiny forever. Fuck that game.
I'd rather not.
Yeah, I'd rather not
Seem to
either.
like it.
But I just think it's interesting that people are so fucking hyped about this game still. It's ridiculous, but
I mean, they do have their fan base, but I think that it's, I don't know. I feel the
It's
only
time.
counterpoint I can think of is like all of their DLC is Destiny, the Taken King, the Rise of Iron. So like if you do another, like Destiny, the Rise of Gray Jackets, it's going to be, they're going to think it's a DLC. If you make it very clear and succinct that it's Destiny 2, then it's the sequel to the game. That's
Yeah.
the only reason I would say to make it Destiny 2.
yeah. And then the first DLC will be
Destiny 2
the
The-
Taken King a
Again.
second time.
Yeah. the second taking of the king.
Yeah, exactly. I like that.
Well, it'd be Destiny 2, The Taken King 2.
Correct.
That's how they would do
There
it.
you go. Give yourself a point.
2 like T-O-O.
Oh, I got all the points.
Give yourself a point.
T-O-O.
T-O-O.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
The Taken King 2.
Everybody gets a point.
Excellent.
Finally, Xbox, the last story. Xbox games with gold for April include Rise and Darksiders. So we get Rise, Son of Rome, The Walking Dead Season 2, Darksiders, and Assassin's Creed Revelations.
So right off the bat, that's a pretty solid month.
I think that's like a mic
Darksiders.
drop. Like, that's like, I'd play probably every single one of those games at least once through.
So Rise, I always was curious because it was a launch title and it looked really nice, but then everyone was like, it's really repetitive or whatever. It's a perfect free game to try out.
Yep.
And then you get Walking Dead Season 2, which previously they did Walking Dead Season 1, so you'll be able to save your carry your
Continue on.
save file
Yep.
over. So I think that that's really fucking smart, and people should play those games. Darksiders, it's the 360 version. Darksiders 1 was really good. 2, I got very bored with very quickly.
Is this the first one or the second one?
This is the first one. The first one I liked. The second one I got very, very bored of.
I'm kind of the opposite of you. I got bored of the first one playing through it, and then I played the shit out of the second one. So, I mean, the first one, every single one of these games, and then when you talk about Assassin's Creed Brotherhood,
Revelations.
is it Revelations? Is it Brotherhood?
I
Revelations.
Think Revelations.
Oh, well,
I
that's a
felt,
bummer.
I felt Revelations was the
Okay,
weakest.
I thought
of the
Brotherhood was
cool,
Brotherhood.
yeah,
I thought it was
Brotherhood's
Brotherhood.
better.
If it was Brotherhood, then it would have been a better. Revelations is.
A snooze fest.
Yeah, okay. So I was about to say that they're all like legit games that you should probably try to play. I'll take it back. Revelations, fucking horrible.
Avoid that.
Yeah. But like Rise, it's interesting because I played that. I bought the Xbox on launch. It was one of the only games I have for it.
Mm-hmm.
So I played through it. It's about 6 to 8 hours campaign. Very easy game. Very easy to go through. But graphically, it looked really, really good for the time. I'd be interested to see how it kind of holds up nowadays. But the gameplay is very simple. It's a couple buttons you gotta press.
Yeah.
I love the time period of it when you're just like glad the multiplayer actually is surprisingly really fun. That you can play with a friend where they just take you and your friend, co-op it, and 2 guys on a couch, and you guys just are thrown into a gladiator pit and you gotta fight your way out of it.
Cool.
So I think the co-op aspect of Rise is pretty
Overlooked?
fun. Yeah, I think it's overlooked. I had a good time with it. And then The Walking Dead is obviously pretty
Speaks for
fucking
itself,
sweet.
really.
And then you have Darksiders, which is a pretty underrated game.
Yeah, it's
for
a
the
Zelda
most part.
clone for anyone
You play
that's
as one of the
interested.
4 horsemen of Apocalypse.
Mhm.
And
This one you play
play as
War. Yeah,
And the second one you play as Death. And fuck
So-
Assassin's Creed.
yeah. I agree. I agree with his sentiment.
That's
All
it.
right, +1 Gary.
Doesn't matter,
Wow.
Steve. Doesn't matter. You already
know who
fucking
won.
dug my grave.
Well, you dug it yourself.
Highly disagree.
Well,
Highly disagree. Just tell
so
us.
you're one of those people that blame the teacher for your grade and not yourself?
All I'm just saying, just tell us the points and it will speak for itself. What you just did. Tonight.
So Brian's got 12.
Holy shit.
Gary's got 8. Anthony's got 10.
Wow.
Yeah.
So
I mean, it makes perfect sense.
Damn.
Makes perfect sense.
I think Justin got 1, didn't he? No.
Did you assign Justin a point?
I might have. I don't know yet.
Oh, I don't know about
Who?
What?
Yeah.
Shithead.
Anyways, that's going to be it for our game show of the Drunken News. We're going to take a quick break, come right back with what we're doing on the site, our Twitter handles, Steve's Majora's Mask review, and all that jazz. So stay tuned.